He began his journey without privilege or power, entering the army first as an enlisted soldier, carrying more determination than experience. Those early days shaped him, the cold mornings, the tough drills, the quiet moments when he realized leadership was not about rank but responsibility. When he earned his place at West Point in 1984, it wasn't handed to him, it was earned through grit. Graduating in 1988 as an infantry officer, he stepped into a world where every decision mattered, where his men would look to him for direction and strength. His first deployments tested him quickly. Desert Shield and Desert Storm were not just entries on a resume, they were transformative chapters that taught him about fear, courage, and the heavy weight of command. He grew by watching soldiers under pressure, by learning how uncertainty pushes real leaders to emerge. As years passed, he rose through the ranks not by chasing titles but by proving himself again and again in the field. Every command, company, battalion, brigade, brought new tests. In Iraq and Afghanistan, he understood the cost of war in a way textbooks never could. He learned to balance strategy with compassion, authority with humility. When he pursued advanced studies in economics and later strategic education at the Naval War College, he wasn't stepping away from the battlefield, he was preparing for the bigger battles of policy, planning, and future readiness. His path became a blend of frontline experience and high-level insight, shaping him into a leader who could see both the soldier and the system, the mission and the human being carrying it. As his responsibilities expanded, he began navigating the complex space between battlefield realities and institutional expectations. Commanding larger units meant understanding not just tactics but the lives, fears, and strengths of thousands who relied on him. Every briefing, every late-night decision, every unexpected shift in mission taught him how leadership becomes heavier as the circle of influence widens. When he took command of the 4th Infantry Division, he carried with him lessons carved from years of deployments, knowing that every soldier under that banner represented a family, a story, and a trust placed in him. The challenges were no longer simply about maneuvering troops or reacting to threats, they were about shaping readiness, developing leaders beneath him, and ensuring the force remained capable in a changing world. His later role leading I Corps pushed him further into strategic depth. Instead of focusing on a single battlefield, he was now thinking in terms of regions, alliances, emerging threats, and long-term operational posture. He learned to coordinate not only with commanders but also with interagency partners, coalition forces, and policymakers who influenced global decisions. The responsibility demanded a balance between decisiveness and diplomacy, between preparing for conflict and preventing it. Through these roles, he refined a leadership style defined by clarity, consistency, and calm under pressure. His experience as both a combat leader and a strategic planner allowed him to bridge the gap between the soldier on the ground and the leaders shaping national defense. Each step prepared him for a future where the decisions he made would no longer affect hundreds or thousands, but the entire direction of the army itself. When he was selected as Vice Chief of Staff, the shift marked a new phase of responsibility where every choice influenced not just operations but the long-term direction of the entire army. He was no longer guiding a single command or a regional mission, he was helping shape policies that defined how soldiers would train, fight, and adapt for years to come. This role demanded a deep understanding of modernization, resource management, talent development, and the evolving nature of global conflict. He became a voice constantly evaluating how technology, tactics, and personnel structures needed to change to keep the force effective and resilient. His background, rooted in enlisted beginnings and hardened through multiple deployments, gave him credibility when he pushed for improvements that directly supported soldiers' welfare and combat readiness. When he eventually stepped into the position of Chief of Staff, the responsibility intensified. He understood that the title was not about prestige but about guardianship. The trust placed in him came from decades of proving that he could lead with steadiness, honesty, and clarity, even in the most unpredictable moments. In this role, he focused on strengthening the army from within, streamlining processes, enhancing training quality, and preparing the force for future threats that required adaptability rather than tradition. He emphasized that the true strength of the army did not lie in equipment or formations, but in the people who wore the uniform and the leaders who shaped them. Every initiative, every directive, and every strategic push he made carried the intention of building an army ready for tomorrow, grounded in discipline, innovation, and unwavering commitment to its mission. As he matured into the role of the army's top leader, he understood that legacy wasn't built through titles but through the impact left on the people who served under him. Every conversation with young officers, every briefing with senior leaders, and every visit to training grounds reinforced the idea that leadership was a continuous responsibility, not a milestone. He pushed for modernization not as a buzzword but as a necessity, recognizing that the battlefield of the future demanded faster thinking, smarter systems, and soldiers prepared for challenges no previous generation had faced. He worked to simplify outdated processes, remove barriers that slowed progress, and empower commanders to make decisions that aligned with the evolving demands of warfare. His efforts were guided by a belief that readiness was not just about equipment or strategy, but about developing adaptable, resilient individuals capable of thriving in uncertainty. Throughout his leadership, he maintained a grounded perspective shaped by his own early experiences. He often reminded those around him that every soldier, regardless of rank, deserved respect, guidance, and opportunities to grow. His direction reflected a balance of discipline and compassion, ensuring that the army remained strong without losing its humanity. Under his leadership, the institution strengthened its commitment to mental resilience, family support, and ethical conduct, acknowledging that a modern force required more than physical capability. His focus remained on creating an environment where soldiers felt valued, prepared, and confident in the mission ahead. In the end, his story became not just one of personal rise but of lifting others, shaping a force ready for the future, and proving that true leadership is measured by the people who stand stronger because of it.